Anyway, sitting on a block in Sukhasana, just tuning into the central channel, which you can do any way you like. You know, a little bit of movement may feel appropriate in terms of the way things flow. Closing your eyes may feel appropriate. Breathing through the nose is definitely advised because it hydrates, warms, filters, and slows the incoming breath. I really want to viscerally wake up to this concept and finally feeling of the central channel as something very, very, very real, which we have to make it so. When we read yoga text, no text ever uses the words, it is real, for the central channel. They only say bhavayet, like make it, you know, the third person operative. So he, she, or they make it, the central channel. Or chintayet, he, she, or they think about it. So you make the central channel, you tune in on the central channel, you awaken to the central channel, but you do that yourself. And in some hatha texts, the central channel starts at the pelvic floor and goes all the way up to the crown of the head. In some texts, it goes beyond the crown of the head. We'll just have it as the pelvic floor to the crown of the head. But not a thought that you're just thinking about with a bunch of other thoughts. But a direct experience. We're told it has it's like the aperture in, if you cut a water plant, like a lotus stalk, there's a little aperture in it, the same aperture as in a lotus stalk. It's one way that it's described. And all the way through, try and feel it all the way through. Just the feeling of the central channel is a practice in and of itself. Practice in centering, in a sort of psychophysical centering. It also, of course, gives the body something to orientate itself around. Now, to make this even more focused for us, we'll do a tantric yoga technique called uchara or mantra uchara, which is where you push upwardly, uchara, a mantra uchara. So the mantra is Om. We're going to push it up through the central channel and out of the crown of the head from the pelvic floor. We're going to do our utmost to really, really feel that this mantra is moving through a channel. So we'll do that together. Start with a deep breath in. Two more. And the last one. And then further deep breaths. So deep breaths come and they go and they come and they go. Now, if I was being really true to myself and I wasn't worried that I'd scare students off permanently, I almost certainly would do an hour class of mantra uchara alone, just that practice. And I think it would be tremendously beneficial. So just putting it out there that tuning in on central channel is very, very powerful indeed. And even just 3 rounds is very, very useful. Stay in touch with the central channel. Bring your hands to the Atmanjali Mudra. Press left hand into right hand and have the heels of the hands at the xiphoid cartilage, the bottom of the breastbone. As you press right hand into left hand and left hand into right hand, you'll feel a natural deepening of the scapula, the shoulder blades, and a broadening, a really lovely broadening of the collarbones. Don't hold the breath, breathe into it freely. Let there be movement that indicates flow as a fundamental, foundational attitude that we have. Flow. Everything's built on that. So if there's tightness, struggle, trying, that's not it. If the lower back's tight, we need to change that to flow. And the body can't flow without the breath, and the breath can't flow without the mind can't flow without the universe. In other words, the world that we create with our minds also has to flow, has to return to flow. And this recognition, this direct experience of recognition constitutes enlightenment, because then you don't cling. The Buddha, when asked, what do you teach? What's the most important teaching? He said, oh, praticca samutpada, conditioned co-production. And it's like, oh, is that it? Yeah, everything that is conditioned co-produces everything else. Everything that has a cause and an effect co-produces everything else. But he didn't mean as a concept, because that, there's millions of books about Buddhism, you can read that. But as a direct experience, that's what makes it enlightenment. Interlace your fingers, stretch your arms diagonally down, raise your arms up. Breathe through the nose without holding the breath. And meditate on praticca samutpada. This sort of, it's not a thought, it's the reality that everything's interdependent and everything flows. It's called anicca in Pali, or anitya in Sanskrit. Everything flows. I've described it like a kaleidoscope, and I was a very lucky kid in the 70s to have a kaleidoscope that I was completely into, and so I can still visualize turning I think it was quite cheap. It might have been a magic roundabout one, I can't quite remember. Probably from Woolworths. And as I turned the end of it, these little plastic particles of color would move over each other and under each other. Some would move out of the picture while others would move in. Some would stay in but shift their position. So let all of this experience be as it is, like a kaleidoscope, inside and outside. Some elements are staying, but they're moving in the relationship to other elements that are coming in. Some elements are going out. Some elements build on top of others. Sometimes you get, a few little red plastic particles in the kaleidoscope all building up together, and then they fade out. Take a big wide circle with your arms. Bring your hands to the jnana mudra, the knowing mudra. And so knowing is receptivity to this living flow. There's nothing outside, there's nothing in the future, there's nothing in the past. The Buddha called it sanditiko dharma, meaning apparent here and now. He called it akaliko dharma, outside of time. And he said it's ehipassiko, it invites investigation. So this is how it is. Okay, release your fingerlets and change the cross of your legs when you're ready. Putting that blanket underneath your shins, buttock flesh drawn out and back. Just sort of slightly unapologetic, direct yoga this morning. So again, we're going to tune in on the central channel. Now, if I don't think about it, then for me, there's movement as part of that. If I think about it, I don't know what I'm doing. So the blister on my finger has gone down now, but I jammed with a bunch of guys at Lewis, not yesterday, but the day before, in the evening, a bunch of hippies. Quite frankly, they were hippies, but very, very talented hippies, and way above me in their musical prowess. And quite frankly, I didn't know what I was doing. But it worked out because I didn't let thinking get in the way. So I was able to flow along, They were asking me about key signatures and all sorts of things. They were playing fancy jazz chords. And I just thought, let's just let my hands do something and hope something happens. And I got away with it. So similarly, openness is the most powerful creative force here and now. So, feel it out. Move with it. Feel the central channel. Bhavayet. Make the central channel. Chintayet. Contemplate. Think about the central channel. Smartayet. Remember the central channel. Recollect it. And I do that physically because we want it to be physical. It's not the idea. This is not a bunch of concepts. It's nothing to do with concepts. Enlightenment can't come through concepts. The concepts can point to what you need to open up to, but you still have to open up to it for the, I keep calling it enlightenment. Awakening is the actual Sanskrit word. There's no enlightenment word in Sanskrit. It's awakening. To awaken to the interdependence of everything, so liberating. Beyond words, it's liberating. Bring your hands to the prayer position again, the Atmanjali Mudra, or just the Anjali Mudra if you like. Left hand into right hand into left hand. Scapula go a little deeper, shoulder blades. Stay tuned in on softness. Don't let hardness creep in, especially in the lumbar, the lower back. Hardness indicates that the mind is thinking about it. You know, I am doing yoga, but no. There's no room for I and for yoga at the same time. Interlace your fingers, stretch your arms diagonally down, raise the arms up. Again, tune in honestly. So this is why Satya is in the yoga tradition, honesty. Coming from the root Sat, which means the way it is. Right? Sat, it is. So as you move around in this sort of, this profound honesty, you can lose yourself in it. Okay, big wide circle. Hands to Jnana Mudra. Mudra means a seal, so this is sealing ourselves in the knowing state, right? Containing ourselves just for a moment, not allowing ourselves to go out of into anything else except the knowing state, the jnana. And if you think about it, then you don't know, because thinking leads to doubt for reasons we could talk about. It'd take about 8 minutes to talk about it in complete detail, but we haven't got 8 minutes to do that. We're going to release the fingies, change that name now, fingies, and give them a wiggle. And we're going to put the blanket to one side. We're going to take those 2 blocks, dos bloques, and we're going to place 2 feet on the blocks. We're going to need a belt as well, a patika. The feet go up on the blocks, and the buttock flesh is drawn out and back. And so from the get-go, the hamstrings are being stretched, right? The more you draw the buttock flesh out and back, as long as you're feeling what you're doing as you're doing it, as long as you're feeling what you're doing as you're doing it, the more you draw the buttock flesh out and back, the better for the uprightness of the spine. We're going to help ourselves along with the patika as well. Breathing calmly, of course. So the patika goes around the balls of the feet. And you spread your toes like the rays of the rising sun. You spread your toes like the rays of the rising sun. Pull on the patika. Drive gently the back of the body in towards the front of the body. Stay true to all the principles I've already described. Foundationally, flow. So, everything has to be built on the foundation of flow. So, vahita in Sanskrit, flow. Now that means universal flow, body, brain, breath, universe. And then it is a thought. If we're used to thinking about things, then there's nothing, but we're being asked to investigate it physically. So you move left, you move right, you move forwards, you move backwards. You're investigating attitude and how it blends with physical sensations. So some attitudes make the body much more pliable than others, don't they? Some attitudes make the body completely pliable, like attitudes of bliss, ananda, attitudes of surrender, sharanagati, attitudes of generosity, dana. So moving this way, moving that way, attitudes of happiness, sukha, attitudes of deep, deep contentment, santosha. Experimenting with the pelvis. Maybe it can tilt a little. Maybe it can come out of the backwards tilt into a forwards tilt. In time, it will take some massaging of the hamstrings for that to be possible. Okay, again, losing ourselves in the honesty. There's probably only one person who's here, maybe two actually, who might recognize that I'm quoting lyrics from a song from the 80s, which is a beautiful song. I recommend it to you because those lyrics, I could lose myself in this honesty. Very, very powerful. By a band from Liverpool. I think they're from Liverpool, China Crisis. So, okay, release the feet. Breathe easy. I remember when that song came out, I immediately, after perhaps having saved up a little bit, immediately bought the single, the 45 from HMV, and listened to it on and on again and again. Now we've got those two blocks. It's quite a two-block sort of vibe going on, and we're going to simply bring our pelvis to the two blocks. If you're someone who wants a bit more padding, then please, obviously, you can use the blanket as well. We don't want to make ourselves unnecessarily feel any sorrow, lamentation, or despair. So we're going to stretch the legs back, and I think you'll be able to feel out how to position your pelvis so it's sort of most comfortable for you. Perhaps some of the tummy's on there, but spend a bit of time getting as comfortable as you can. And then if you're okay to, just lift your feet up, breathe easy. And you might think, oh no, I'm not quite in the right position. So you come down and you adjust. Breathe easy. Now we're going to extend our arms forwards, so the fingertips come on the floor as well. The tummy will need to be lightly toned. I think that will happen naturally for most people, but just to bring attention to that. Jaw soft, eyes soft, breathing through the nose. Good, okay. Knees down, hands down by the ribs. Place your chest and chin on the floor so your pelvis is sticking up, the elbows are pointing back, the toes are tucked under, the chin is on the floor. So this is a position with 8 points in contact with the floor, the chin, the chest, the hands, and the feet, and the knees. We breathe into it. Now we're going to stretch our legs back so that they are off the floor. Chin and chest are still on the floor. Make sure the hands are low down enough by the mid-ribs. Draw your tummy in, so away from the blocks, and push. Just lift your chest up to the same height as the legs and the blocks. So you're just making a parallel line along the floor. Breathing easy. So your toes can stay on the floor. It's just that the whole body is one straight line, just above the floor at the height of the two blocks. The elbows are pointing back. The breathing is easy. Okay, drop the knees. Come to hands and knees. Now for what we're going to do next, we're going to use the blocks. It may be that you'll need more height, so you might need another block. You might even need to use a blanket. We're going to come into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. But we're going to use these blocks. In fact, I'll just leave my microphone for our head, the crown of the head only. So we don't want too little height or too much height, because we don't want to
collapse onto the blocks. We've got to lift right up through the chest and armpits to the groins so that the crown of the head, the very top of the head, comes to rest. But it's not dropping. We're not leaning any weight at all. We're not leaning any weight at all into the head. The head is just releasing. The neck shouldn't feel squashed by this. But at the same time, we don't want to collapse the arms, so make sure you've got enough height. And it's just, as I say, for the crown of the head, which releases in relationship to lifting up through the ribs, through the tummy, through the groins, the top of the front thighs. We also want to bring every part of the palms to touch the floor. And of course, we're breathing freely, naturally. Super duper. Come down when you're ready. Sit on 1 or 2 blocks. If you're sitting on 2, you'll need another one behind you. So if you're sitting on 1, you might not need another one behind you. Legs extended out. Good job, everyone. Buttock flesh drawn out and back. Don't forget, if you're on 2 blocks, you'll need another one behind you. Oh, I just saw my cup of tea. Does anyone mind if I go in? What a lovely drink. So once you've drawn the buttock flesh out and back, you're going to bend the leg that's closest to me, just as I've bent the one closest to you. And then you're going to hop the straight one just a little bit out to the side. And then we're going to simply look for flow. Remember, flow is the foundation. Can't build anything else unless the foundation is flow. So moving left, moving right, breathing through the nose. Massaging through the back. With this new form of honesty, it's not just like not telling a lie, but it's more honest than that. It's, it's not living through any kind of filters. And none of this is a concept that you should be doing. If there's a concept that you think I should do this, I should, then it's gone wrong already, because we've made something that doesn't flow, a sort of avatar called me, myself, and I that's supposed to be doing this. But actually, breath is first. Let that flow. And if the breath is flowing, you know that everything else is going to flow too. But for the breath to be able to flow, you've got to get the body flowing. So I'm moving side to side. That's working here and now for me. But as soon as I contrive it, as soon as it becomes institutionalized, then again, I've built it on foundations that are not flow, foundations that are based on a contrived avatar, me, myself, and I. So we can spend a long time, I think, helpfully, moving side to side or forwards or backwards, massaging. We can take a relatively gentle twist by taking the arm that's furthest away from me and it's like a sort of headlock. Shouldn't really headlock people that are this small. That's not really right. Anyway, turn the other way, Ollie. Other arm headlocking. You got it. Yeah. And then breathe through your nose. I suppose you could, a gentle headlock on a little toddler and just do that on their hair. Can be okay. Breathe through your nose if you can. Draw your tummy in and turn as many times as you want. So if you think about the name of our subject, yoga, it must be centered around incorporation. Gathering together, pulling together. And it mustn't be centered around pulling apart, separating, overwhelming anything. Everything should be included. It could be that you want to bring your arm further onto the outside of the leg. That's fine as well. But again, work honestly on integration. And that will come through movement. Your body will change a lot through lots and lots of little movements. Lots and lots of little movements. Gently, gently, return to center. Stretch out the legs. If you're me, move your block to the other end of the mat. I mean, you are me on an absolute level, but I'm talking about a relative level, so it means only me moves the blocks. Then you draw the buttock flesh out and back and breathe through your nose. Then you fold the other leg back, step the straight one out from the midline. That means towards me. And lift and breathe. So just look for lift. Close your eyes if you like. Lose yourself. So you lose yourself in this honesty. I hope I don't get sued by China Crisis for keep using their lyric. Maybe I'll get some share of the royalties for extra sales. So lose yourself in this honesty. The song has a fretless bass in it, so what could go wrong? 1980s fretless bass, wonderful. Chest up, lower back lifted. Again, if you feel that softness coming, that lightness coming, that you're disappearing. And then as you disappear, you reappear. It's very phoenix-like. You disappear into the flames of reality, as it were, and you reappear in this tremendously powerful form, this phoenix. Absolutely incredible metaphor. I once painted a phoenix on the wall of a squat many, many years ago. Let's bring our arm around for the sort of headlock position, as it were. Try to keep the extended leg straight up, not falling out. Breathe through your nose and relax and enjoy. If you forget about time, yoga becomes very much more enjoyable. It's one of the nice things about, I think, going to a yoga class is, you don't have to think about time. You just know. You just kind of lose yourself, and that's taken care of by someone else. And if poses become truly timeless, then you truly start to enjoy yoga. Again, there's the option, if you wanted, to hook the arm further onto the outside of the leg. But again, integration. Spend time massaging, working round, moving round, all that lower back fiber. Wonderful. Nice and easy. Return to center. Take a breath or two. Take 2 blocks. Try and keep this 2-block theme going as long as I can. We're going to put it underneath the pelvis with the tailbone coming off the end. There's something quite quietening about using the same prop in different ways, I think. So we're laying on our backs. It's a version of Viparita Karani, which basically translates to the inverter, that which inverts one, an inverting action, Viparita Karani. So if you move your knees left and right, you might be able to massage your pelvis in such a way that you can extend some of the soft tissue on the pelvis, lengthen it, open it up a little bit around the sacrum. So that can feel good. You can tune in on what feels right for you. Bearing in mind that we're going to be raising the legs in a moment. So you might want to feel out what will be an optimal position in terms of balance, not through thinking, but through feeling it out. And then if you're ready, raise one leg, see how that feels. And dorsi and plantar flex the foot. Don't hold the breath. You can circle the foot too if you want, scrunch the toes if you want.
do anything that helps the flow of the breath. Bring that leg down, raise the other one up. Similarly, dorsi, plantar, dorsi, plantar. Flexion plus any other movements that feel helpful, circling, half circling, swinging the whole leg, breathing through the nose, and then bring that one down. If you want, you can either repeat one leg at a time, or you can try with bent knees at first, lifting up both legs. So bent knees at first. When you get the balance right, it can be down to the millimeter. You know, I sometimes adjust millimeters or even fractions of millimeters. Then we're going to extend the legs straight up if you feel comfortable to do so. Hopefully your tailbone's off the end of that support, and that just balances everything up. We're going to stretch the arms up and over the head. You can move them side to side if you need to. If it's not possible to bring them over the head, you can bring them out to the side or wherever is comfortable. Breathe through the nose, keep the jaw soft, keep the neck soft. There's definitely a kind of tone in the tummy as well, which is part of the meditation. Great. Okay. Bring your legs back down when you're ready. And if you want, and if it feels okay, bring your arms forwards, walk your feet in so your heels are up, and flip the blocks one more height up, both together, across the back of the pelvis. So a version of Setu Bandhasana. Now here we can turn the elbows in towards the waist and forearms out. And that action, turning the elbows in and forearms out, should open up the chest. So in this version, elbows in, forearms out, the elbows go in towards the waist, and the hands are a little lower than the elbows. Lower in terms of their relationship to the head. Breath, breath, breath. Walk in calmly, heels up. Tone the tummy, draw it in, and pull the ribs forwards. Calmly lift up, take the blocks out, walk your feet away from your head, put the blocks down, put your hands underneath your head, take a deep breath, perhaps 2, 3, 4 or more deep breaths. With the jaw soft, with the eyes soft, with the brain soft. Real sense of letting go, real sense of letting go. Just waiting for the lower back to settle. We can help that process by lifting the feet with bent knees, no action in the quadriceps. So no action in the quadriceps is kind of interesting, in the front thighs. Completely soft. Now we're going to lift the head as well, and that should push the lower back even closer into the floor. Obviously, it stimulates the abdominals as well. And with a soft jaw and soft eyes, we breathe into that. Okay, bring your head down, bring your feet down, release your hands from underneath your head. I'd like your heels to be on 2 blocks. We can roll onto our side and take those blocks calmly like that. I'm trying a sort of semi-lazy way to do it just with my feet. Semi-lazy way. So then when your legs extend, your heels come to the blocks. It can be quite good to just try and do it with your feet only. It gives you a little bit of abdominal control. And once your feet are on the blocks, then we're going to stretch our arms straight up and over the head. So that might mean waving them side to side.
Many, 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 many movements of a small nature can build up to make movements of a much larger nature. So light tone in the tummy, breathe through your nose. Raise one leg up, straight up towards 90 degrees relative to the floor, and breathe through your nose. Relax your neck if it's tense. Relax the lower back if it's tense. Bring that leg down at a pace that suits you with your lower back close, intimate with the floor. And if you feel ready to raise the other one, go ahead and do so whenever you feel ready. Don't hold the breath. Breathe through your nose if you can. Relax the neck, relax the jaw. Bring that leg down. Control it from the deep belly. We've talked in the past about 4 points on the abdomen, 2 lower, 2 higher, like the corners of a rectangle. Back to the first leg when you're ready, raising it up. And this time we're going to raise it up, pause for a couple of breaths only, and then bring it down and up again twice. Again, I really love it if we concentrated on 4 corners, imagine them imprinted on the abdomen, 2 lower, 2 upper. And just feel what would happen to that rectangle shape as you move your leg up and down. And then, of course, we're going to do the same on the other leg. When we feel ready, a little pause with the leg up in the air for a couple of breaths before commencing the down and up twice. But really try and feel, for example, just try and feel the 2 lower points. Just sort of sense where they are. And then in relationship to that, the 2 upper points. So take it as slow as you can. And I think contemplating those points is going to help you to keep more control over the ascent and the descent. Finally, we're going to do both legs together all the way up, pausing for a couple of breaths, letting the back settle. And then 2 rounds with both legs together. Again, really concentrate on those 4 points or corners. 2 down and up with 2 legs together. Lower back close to the floor. The whole thing will end with 2 legs up in the air and a little bit of foot movement, some deeper breaths, some swinging or movement of the legs that suits your release. Your release. So it can be bending the knees, extending the knees, shaking the legs, whatever supports your release. Then bend your knees. Bring your arms forwards and hold your shins. And don't interlace your fingers, just hold your shins. And breathe through the nose, let the lower back be settled. And pull the legs just gently in. Breathe through your nose. And we're just going to feel the natural gravity as we let go of one leg, just let it fall down to the floor. Just feel its weight, its natural gravity. Good, no, it's good. That's what we want. Breathing calmly, then bring that leg up. Breathe through your nose. Holding just the shin, and again, we'll let the natural gravity of the leg take the foot down. And breathe through the nose. We're going back up, holding both legs. Breathing through the nose. Dropping first leg again. Jaw soft, eyes soft. Then we're going to extend that leg out so the foot touches the blocks. Again, the back of the heel touches the blocks. Then we're going to lift the head up, breathe through the nose without tensing the jaw. Head comes back down when you're ready. You draw that other leg back up, hold both legs by the shins. Release so it drops. Hold the raised leg with both hands. Extend the other leg out so the heel comes onto the block. Breathe through the nose without holding the breath. Lift your head up when you're ready. Keep the jaw passive. Let the meditation on the ever-changing, the ananta, the ever-changing, take place here and now. Meditation on the ananta, the ever-changing. The head comes back down, both legs come up, give them both a really good hug. You can interlace your fingers or hold one wrist with the other hand and have a bit of a roll about. So you roll left, you roll right. You're looking for sensations that are tatparam, that beyond. The Yoga Sutra says tatparam purusha kyater guna vaitrishnam, meaning that the person who experiences that beyond or is supreme, the furthest, that which you can't get further than, is completely satisfied. We know they don't have any thirst. Vitrishna. So vitrishna is without thirst. If someone doesn't have any thirst, it means that they're quenched. And if someone's quenched, it's a very, it's the ultimate contentment. Okay, release your legs when you're ready. Feet back down to the floor. Roll over to face towards me. Place your top leg foot on your dos bloques. Bend the other leg to something very much like 90 degrees. Could even be 90 degrees. That's between the tummy and the leg and between the calf and the thigh. And extend the bottom end of the psoas and the iliacus. So extend from the top of the inner thigh and understand directly that the attitude affects the body. So an experiment with that. What kind of attitude, as you're extending the inner thigh, makes that inner thigh tissue more pliable? Is it a sort of worried, desperate attitude? Or probably not. Is it a super happy, unpressurized, explorative attitude, kindly attitude? So we're going to lift and land that foot with that length coming in and experimenting with attitude combined with movement. We draw in the tummy, we push down, we turn, and bring ourselves down to the elbows, forearms, and wrists without any retention of the breath. Breathe through the nose, massage it into the back. So you might move left or right or forwards or backwards to massage it into the back. No time for daydreaming. Got to be fully present. And being fully present is fully surrendered to flow. Just this is the way things are, inside and outside, is that they are flow. Look at a surfer on a wave. They're not rigid, sort of legs straight. They flow. The knees are bending with the movements of the waves underneath them. They're given to the flow. Top leg on top of the bottom leg. Push to come up. Take those blocks and put them at the other end of your mat. Laying similarly. Bent leg, 90 degrees. Focusing, experimenting with that extension and its relationship to attitude. So we call this bhavana. So attitude, breathing into it, and experimenting with the pliability of this, the psoas and the iliacus that are attached to the top of the inner thigh. And the relationship pliability it has to mental states and attitudes. Mental states and attitudes. And you know, you'll find the optimal attitudes for release tend to be things like happiness, gratitude, bliss, love, surrender. It's the good stuff. If you're ready and you've landed the foot, you might land it several times. You suck in the tummy, you push down into the floor, you lift and turn, you come down to your elbows, forearms, and wrists. Shayana Marichasana. So this is a version of the pose we did earlier, which was Marichasana 3, when we were sitting on blocks and we did that little headlock for the leg. Top leg on top of the bottom leg. Calmly curl up from the side. We're going to use 2 blocks because I'm determined now. Got this far. I realized that we could probably do all 3 classes this morning with 2 blocks and not be repeating everything. So I kind of got a taste for it now. We're going to have 1 block for the head like this, and 1 block potentially for the hands if you can. Obviously, I know sometimes the shoulders are tight, so you can take a variety of different things. You could have the arms out to the side instead of up. And obviously adjust until it feels right in terms of its the position on the head, for example. That can change how your neck feels. Again, millimeter adjustments, I find, make worlds of difference. Breath, 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 breath. Okay, coming calmly up. We're going to turn our blocks 1 or 2 so that the short end faces forwards, and we're coming to a version of Siddhasana like that. You can, of course, as ever, use a blanket under your shins if you wish, if you find it useful. And if you find Siddhasana very, very difficult, you can, of course, sit in a different position if it's too tricky. The buttock flesh is drawn out and back. I've got this blanket to support the shins. That can be nice because the blocks are quite high. So the chest is lifted. Breathing through the nose. We're going to take the Tsalong Tulkur for the all-over Vyana or Vyana, or pervasive it means. Vayu, wind, or energy. And so in a minute, we're going to take a stepped inhalation, in other words, like a viloma, lots of little steps to the inhale down to the pelvic floor. Could be 2, 3, 4 steps until you feel energy can be held there at the Sahita Antara Kumbhaka, that is the deliberate internal retention. And you hold the breath there while you take the following actions. Quick demo coming now. When you breathe out through all the pores of the body. So I did 5. I did it quite quick because it's probably not entirely interesting watching someone do it. Just want to get on with it yourself. So when you're ready, take those stepped inhalations down to the pelvic floor and hold the breath. You can do 3 to 5 of the bows and arrows. You might feel buzzing all over the skin, kind of fizzing. Some of the texts describe it in a way that's probably not that relaxing, but it kind of is kind of accurate, I think, in some way. They say like there's lots of little insects crawling all over the skin, which probably doesn't not very nice image, but I kind of get what they mean. It's sort of tingling, buzzing, fizzing, aliveness, you know, the direct experience of the pratitya samutpada, conditioned co-production. You know, which get nowhere just intellectually, just like you get nowhere just holding a map and staring at it. You know, it's not the same as you're not on the territory until you're on the territory. You use the map to get on the territory. But maps just, you know, some people just collect maps and look at them, don't they? And that's fine. That's a hobby, but it's not the same. We're going to do 3 rounds of Brahmari before coming into Shavasana. So Brahmari is the bumblebee breath. You hum as you breathe out. You can take the Shanmukhi mudra where you close your eyes, you close the tragus, and partly close the nostrils as you breathe in and out. So let's start the Brahmari breathing 3 rounds all together. Calm and slow, melt down into your Shavasana. Calm and slow, melt down into your Shavasana, laying down on your back with sufficient insulation, with sufficient head support as well. And even if you don't have very long, it's always worth doing a Shavasana. In terms of complete accuracy for the time, we have 2 minutes to 8 a.m. So we've got 2 whole blissful minutes of Shavasana. Fizzing, buzzing across the whole of the body. You can also feel that that's not just in the body, on the body, but around the body. Fizzing, buzzing, aliveness. The kaleidoscope that is everything, that is Prakriti. Open up to it. There's nothing that isn't that. Thoughts, ideas, concepts tell us that there are solid things that move through the universe without change. But our direct experience, when opened, realizes that everything is just particles of change. Joni Mitchell quote,
particles of change. I know, in orbit around the sun. And then she goes on, very Joni Mitchell says, it's hard to have that point of view when you're always hung up on someone. But the first bit's really spot on. We're particles of change. It's a kaleidoscope. Everything. Feel Feel into the body. It's almost as if when you move your toes, all the particles of change are moving and they're moving around and everywhere. You know, everything affects everything. Abhinavagupta said, everything is everything. So as you move, you stretch, you enjoy. Everything is everything, and then you bend your legs when ready. Soles of the feet on the floor. Scoot the buttocks under. A deep breath will come. Sigh like exhale. And when ready, roll onto your side, facing away from this side of the room, and lay as comfortably as you can on your side. Rolling in your own time to lay on your other side. And letting light and color in. Any further little stretches that help you prepare to come up. And then bringing yourself up easy from the side. May any benefit that we've gained from our acting in this way go to the alleviation of the suffering of all beings. Om. Thanks everyone for your time, very much appreciated. Of course, I won't stop mentioning the winter solstice retreat until it's full, so I'm mentioning it again. The winter solstice retreat, there you go, that's what I'm saying. Thanks so much for coming, Zoomers. Love and peace to y'all. Lots of love to you. Oh, right back at ya. See you soon, gang. Stay out of trouble.